Morning guys, Craig Tompkinson here. Just prep work for my trip with my son Gavin and I on our 2022 Cape York golf and maybe Nullarbor trip. Yeah, I'm just coming through. I've gone and fitted all fuses to my batteries, and I didn't have any fuses, so I had to go and buy some this morning. Been waiting days because it was a public holiday. This is the 15 Yemi 2-stroke in here, packed in. See how you put them in there, put stuff around them so they don't rub. That's completely run out of fuel, so it's got no smell. But yeah, I'm getting a DC to DC charge. I normally don't have one because I have solar, but now I was just a bit worried that my batteries wouldn't get topped up, so it's coming soon. It's a Renogy. I'm trying a Renogy one because it was the cheapest, because tight ass tonk. See how that goes. This is my fridge, 55 litre, 95 litre. It's got in the top, a couple of new battery boxes. Oh, I've got leads everywhere. Oh, I needed a tube of grease, another can of CRC, some spare flopping radiator coolant from the trip, another roll of oh gee, that's thin, I didn't even look at that. Flux. Anyway, that'll do. Some tape. I've got some APs, some other fuses, another roll of tape. Yeah, just went around. I just got to get a bottle of gas, and then main thing is when you're setting gear up, you haven't done it for a while. Geez, that bloody glare. I've had the boat put on top of the cruiser, and it's the first time I've had it on here. Because of this strap, driving down the road, it was laying at that angle like this one. This one could even do it yet. I might have to change it. It sings like a banshee. It sounds like a Fraser Island dingo going off as soon as you get to about 80 k's. So I've put it up in that 3/4 inch pipe, and hopefully that'll give it a round surface, and I've got carpet to stop them rubbing, and that'll stop it getting the vibration up. Oh, it's bad. There's me mesh, recovery mesh, all strapped down. I'm going to put a sheet of ply on top of that, just a small sheet at the length of that, and then probably sit 3 or 4 crab pots up on there and strap them down too. This is my oils for an oil change along the way. I've got 12 litres oil, enough there to do the old girl. There's my battery in there for my echo sounder, and a couple of litres of 2-stroke oil for the motor. This is my workstation here. I've been soldering up more connections. I just didn't have any tape to tape them, so I'll tape all them up now. That's the only solder I had. But with the bit of acid, she soldered pretty good enough for what I do. Being around salt water and salt, everybody says you need to use crimps, but crimps are just a pain in the ass for me, because you've got to have that many different size crimps for that many different size wires. Whereas I cart that bloody soldering iron with me through my little inverter, and I can solder on the road. I do everything with it. I take this few welding rods, a couple of leads, and you use your batteries for a welder. It was on Ron Moon's in his book, the Cape York Adventurers Guide. Him and Ron and Viv Moon, they did a glorious set of books. They used to be the Bible once. But all right, I'll get to this. I just got to fit these fuses. Then I've got to put these other 2 battery boxes in here. Then there's a couple of sheets of ply. A sheet of ply goes over the top of that. Then there's some containers go in here, and I'll set it up and show you what it looks like. And then I'm closer to going. Yeah, should be good. And I don't put real heavy stuff on top of these. It's just light fluffy stuff in the boxes. Bit of light tucker. Yeah, but they're pretty strong boxes. They sit down and sit down and sit on them, and we've never had any trouble with them. Got to cut a little hole in them so the cable goes through and doesn't rub. But it's all fused now. I never used to have them fused, because the more connections you got, the more trouble you got. But oh, we're doing a lot more travelling now, and I don't want it to catch on fire. You know, I've been doing it for 40 years and never had a fire, so all of a sudden I've got to 58 and I've got a conscience. All right, I'll catch you in a minute. Okay, all wired up. Got 4 batteries in there now, 420 amp hour AGMs. I'd love lithiums, but that's what I got. I paid $1,000 for them fucking 4 or 5, 6, 5 years ago, and they're still going great. As I said, I got a DC to DC charger going up there, and it's all hooked up so I can charge either bank. I won't charge them all at once because it's only a 20 amp DC to DC charger, so a bit small, but I was worried about my alternator mightn't handle it. But yeah, I just got to put a few things in here. That bit of foam will just help keep the boxes back in there, and because you're braking, you're always going forward, so that all should stay forward. There's a couple of boxes going here, one with a bit of tucker, one closed, then another one goes on top. I've got a box to go in here. I'll go put that in there. I'll just get that and put it in. Okay, change of plans. That's about 20 kilos. I don't think it's going up there. I'll put that in the van down low. It's too heavy up there. It's like to break the boxes I'm against. Alright, I'll put the fridges in. Take that out, put the fridges in. But all these wires have got 20, 30, 40 amp fuses on them. Fuse between each one. Fuse going that way, fuse coming this way. So, like I said, that's the first time I've done that. Hope it doesn't come against and bite me on the bum because I get voltage drop or connection drops out or... anyway, I'll keep chipping away. Morning guys, Craig Tompkinson here back again. Righto, here's the old Toyota. She's loaded up, ready to trucking. We were about to head off up the Cape, but got a weather situation coming in, so it's supposed to be 5 or 6, 7 days of really wet weather and can have up to 400 mils of flooding, so I'm not going anywhere just yet. I'm just going to wait till that passes. But yeah, okay, I'm just going to open this up here, the Toyota, and show you this whole... I bought a... I know I said on one of the last videos you don't need a DC to DC charger, but I relented because I got no solar up here now. And when if I don't have this, I normally have 1 or 2 panels I put up on that rack, and I got, you know, from 10 to 20 amps coming in off the solar. So I thought, I've just bought a cheap Renogy. I'm not sponsored by them. They're just a basic unit, $114 or something delivered in the mail. US mob, but you know, built in China as usual. You know, I've got, this is pretty rough setup. I've got big fuses here. They got 40 amps, 40 amp blade fuses in them. This one, see, this is what comes through from my battery. It's only 6 mil, and I've what you got to have with them is not hard to set up. Just have your rings soldered on. Everything I do is soldered. All these connections here are soldered on. All these fuses are soldered in. These Anderson plugs are soldered on. Put them in a vise, and I 2/3, half fill them with solder and then dip that in and it's soldered. The experts will tell you the crimping's best, but oh look, if I was an electrician too, I'd probably crimp. But then when you're auto sparky, you've got every type of crimp tool that fits every crimp properly, and unless you know, like me, unless you got the right tool to crimp one of these connections properly, it just stuffs it up. So I just sit it on a bit of wood, sit it up at a bit of an angle, you get the soldering gun on it, and you just poke it through, crimp it slightly, then solder the end. Beautiful. Same with these are all split apart and soldered, cut in half, soldered together. Just need an 80 watt weller plugged into the power. And the thing with this machine is, and a lot of them, they need this wire. It comes out of the back here, you can see in there, and that comes from the ignition and gives you power. And it won't, this machine won't turn on until its key comes on. But I didn't like that, because I plug it in and I unplug mine. I unplug it. So all you do is I just bought a little power wire through from this one over the top, put it in there, so it got power to it to fire it up. Works brilliantly. Yeah, she's I've already given her a run. She's the old Toyota. She's 1990 model, 800,000 on her. And righto, that's her set up there. And they've got these bits of foam in here that stops the fridges moving back against the doors. Then you put stuff in beside them. See, that's me 15 horse outboard. Like I said, you run him out of fuel so they're not stinking of fuel. But down under here, you might just see, with the ply on top, there's 420 amp AGMs. They're all wired in two banks wired together as two, so they're not four batteries. They're two lots of two, all fused. I'm normally not a great lover of fuses because there's just more connections that go wrong, but I didn't mind these blade fuses because you can pull them apart, give them a little squirt with CRC, and tape them up. And I've got 40 amp fuses in them. So, as you know, if you touch this, well, that shorts a bit, that'll blow that 40 amp, just blow it like that. So, and that makes sure it's getting plenty of power coming through if it needs it. But I only went for a 20 amp DCD, and this does lithium as well. It does them all. It's got the parameters on the back you can change, because I've only just got an old 1990-80 series, and I just didn't know how good the alternator was at what it could put out. I didn't want to cook it. That's the biggest killer I've been found out now, why you got to have a DC to DC charger with a lithium, is they'll take whatever the alternator's putting out and burn your alternator out. So you got to get your heat sensitive and all the rest of it when you go lithium, which I probably will, because that one's got it on there. I just had to buy the extra bits for it later on. But yeah, that's all I did. So when I'm driving, what I'll do is, why I didn't want it hooked up straight away is when I drive, I'll fire her up in the morning, and I might do half an hour or an hour down the road. That makes sure my start batteries are all fully charged. Like, you can go and buy wires to do this and shunts and bloody connectors and stuff, but I don't like that. I like simple stuff. I like to plug it in myself. So I'm not stupid. I can work out how long it takes to charge a start battery if it's getting down a bit. So I'll drive for a while. That charges. Then I just pull up the side of the road. By then I probably need a pee. Plug that in, and she'll belt the two batteries up that I've had on the fridge overnight. Because what I do then is, when we're driving, this wire coming down the side here, coming from the other side battery, it'll be running this, and this fridge will be running off the batteries, which it won't draw much overnight. It draws about 2 or 3 amps running that little 55. This one draws 7, unfortunately. But anything about that 90, 100 litre size, that's 195, they all draw about 7 if they're working in hot conditions up north, about 7 amps. Oh, they might tell you they do it differently, but that's mine turned up to 4 or 5, and that's freezing everything in the top, 20 below, 18 below. And in here, you know, you haven't got a lot of air, you can do when you've got the windows down, but yeah, anyway, that's how she is. She's just ticking away there. I've only took her for one bit of a run to see if she works, but they say not to have her out in the dust and the rain and all the rest of it, so, oh well. Thought for $100 I'll give one a whirl. And it's all just sitting out in the open there, a bit rough, but everything's packed in. So, I claim not to be an electrician at all. If you don't want to follow the way I've done it, it's got the 6mm wire comes down and up into the battery in the front there. It's fused on the front, and you wire it up the same way I have, and it burns your vehicle. You've done something wrong to me. I've just followed the rule, followed the instructions and positive negatives, hooked them up, sitting up there where it's cool. The only thing I may have to do, I'll just see how hot it gets. If it gets hot, I might have to put a little bit of ply just underneath there, or put a bit of something underneath to hold that up in the air. So it's because it's sitting on top of the headrest there, that could get hot just there. So I've got to check that. When I did it, I pulled it up in the air, and it had about a 40mm gap, 30mm gap there, but it's obviously slid down a bit. I may have to slide that up. The ply would have been beautiful. It was an inch higher, but anyway. I could even screw another little bit of ply on there a bit higher yet and put that onto that. Alright, thanks for watching. Hopefully we get to go. My son and I head up somewhere soon. Catch us later. Thank you.